All right, let's get right into this one. It's an incredible story, truly. We're going to be talking about Sallie Crane, a woman who had to face a choice that, well, it's something most of us just can't even wrap our heads around. And she didn't just face it once, she faced it 3 times. It's a story that really gets to the heart of what freedom is, what sacrifice means, and the just unbelievable power of a mother's love.
And that's the real puzzle here, isn't it? I mean, think about that. You escape, you taste freedom, you literally reach the border, and then you turn around and walk right back into slavery. It seems impossible. But to even begin to understand why she did what she did, we have to understand the world she lived in, a world that forced these kinds of impossible choices on people.
So, let's set the scene. We're in the 1850s on a place called the Thornton Plantation in Alabama. Sallie Crane, she wasn't just any slave. She was the head house slave, invaluable to her owner, this guy Robert Thornton. Seriously, she ran the entire household. The place ran like a well-oiled machine because of her. But her value to Thornton, it went way beyond just her work.
And this is why. Sallie had 4 children, Louisa, Beatrice, Thomas, and Marcus, and they were all fathered by the plantation owner, Robert Thornton. Now, these kids were the absolute center of Sallie's world. And Thornton, he knew it. He knew that these children bound her to that plantation tighter than any iron chains ever could. They were her everything, her reason for living, which also made them her biggest, most terrifying weakness.
And this is where you see the 2 worlds just collide, right? On one hand, you have Thornton's ledgers. He's meticulous. And in those books, his own children are listed right there with the cotton and the cattle. They're property. They're assets. And for him, they're a tool for control. But for Sallie, they weren't assets. They were her souls. She loved them with a kind of ferocity that probably scared even her, because she knew, every enslaved mother knew, that very love could be twisted and used against her as the cruelest weapon imaginable.
So, Sallie's first escape, this wasn't some grand, thought-out plan. Not at all. It was pure, gut-wrenching panic. It all started the moment she overheard a conversation she was absolutely never supposed to hear.
She was cleaning the study, and she hears Thornton talking to a slave trader from Mobile, and he's finalizing a deal to sell all 4 of her children. He gives the trader a date, the end of May, just 4 weeks. In 4 weeks, her entire world, her family, would be completely shattered, scattered across the Deep South. That very night, she ran.
She just takes off, heading north with no plan, nothing but pure instinct. For 4 days, she just keeps moving, surviving on who knows what. And she makes it. She crosses the border into Tennessee. She's free. But then, as she's standing there, the brutal reality of her choice just crashes down on her. If she keeps going north, her kids are gone, sold. If she goes back, she'll be punished horribly, but they'll still be there. For a mother like Sallie, it was a simple, agonizing calculation. She turned right around and walked back.
Now, Thornton learned a really crucial lesson from this. He didn't whip her, not this time. Instead, he locked her in a storage room for 2 weeks, and he let her see her kids only through a little grate. He realized something. He didn't need whips, he didn't need chains, he now had the perfect way to control her, the constant, terrifying threat of selling her children. Her own love had become her cage.
Okay, so months go by. And then, Sallie overhears another conversation. Guess what? Thornton is thinking about selling the children. Again. But this time is different. This time, there's no panic. Panic gets replaced by pure strategy. She knew she had to run again, but this attempt, this one, was going to be meticulously planned. This time, she was so cunning. She played the part of the perfect, broken, obedient slave. All the while, she was secretly preparing. She starts gathering supplies, piece by tiny piece. A knife from the kitchen, a match here and there, a little bit of salt. At the same time, she's listening to the whispers, the slave grapevine, piecing together a map of the secret network that could lead her to freedom. She was waiting for the right signal, the right contact to the Underground Railroad. And through those whispers, she starts to learn about the people who were the links in this incredible chain of resistance. People like a freedman over in Tennessee who could guide runaways through the woods.
Or a Quaker family, near the Georgia border, who would hide people in their cellar, risking absolutely everything to help complete strangers. And most importantly, she heard stories about this legendary figure, a conductor on this railroad, a woman known only as the Shepherd. And the Shepherd specialized in the most difficult cases of all,
rescuing families. The shepherd became Sallie's North Star, her ultimate goal.
So she gets a secret message through the shepherd's network, and in the dead of winter, 1853, Sallie makes her second escape. But this time, she has a destination. She follows that chain of safe houses on this absolutely grueling journey all the way to a place called New Richmond, Ohio. And this was a settlement of freedmen, of abolitionists, right on the northern bank of the Ohio River. It was a beacon of freedom, and she'd made it. She was safe.
But here's the thing. Her own safety? That was never the real goal. Not for Sallie. For 3 months in Ohio, she works with a shepherd, planning the most dangerous mission you can possibly imagine. To go back into the heart of slavery, with a fake identity and rescue her 4 children.
So in the spring of 1854, carrying these forged papers, she makes it back to the area. On the night of the rescue, she creeps up to the edge of the Thornton property, but something is wrong. The plantation was just too quiet. It was this unnatural silence.
Every single nerve in her body, every ounce of experience she had, it was all screaming at her to stop, to turn back. Her gut was telling her this is a trap. That quiet, it was a warning.
But then she saw a small figure by the well. It was her daughter, Beatrice. And in that moment, seeing her child, it just overrode everything, every warning, every fear. Her instinct screamed trap, but her heart screamed daughter. She stepped out of the shadows.
And just like that, lanterns flood the yard. Men with guns step out of the darkness, and Robert Thornton walks forward. I told you she'd come back. He'd been waiting. For weeks, he had men watching, because he knew. He knew her love for her children would eventually pull her back. He had even sent Beatrice to the well on purpose, using Sully's own child as the bait to spring his trap.
She's surrounded. There is absolutely no hope of escape. And right there, Sallie faces her third and final impossible choice. Thornton lays out his terms, nice and simple. He would sell her 4 children to the farthest corners of the slave states, scatter them to the winds, and he would make a brutal public example out of her. But Sallie, with his unbelievable courage, makes a counteroffer. Let her children go free, and she would willingly return to a lifetime of slavery. She would accept any punishment he could dream up. Now, Thornton, he saw the propaganda value in this, right? The benevolent master. So he agrees to a kind of compromise. Sallie was publicly and brutally whipped. But her children, they weren't sold. They were hired out to neighboring plantations. Separated, yes, but they were alive and they were accounted for. It wasn't the freedom she had dreamed of, not by a long shot, but it was survival. It was a victory she snatched from the jaws of absolute defeat.
And ever since, historians have debated this choice. Was she a tragic victim, just completely manipulated by the system and by Thornton? Or was she actually a powerful agent who, in a world designed to give her 0 choices, seized the power to make one for herself, based on her own values? Thornton, of course, used her story as propaganda. But for the enslaved people who heard it, it became a symbol of resistance. Resistance through love.
Sallie Crane never tried to escape again. She died on that plantation in 1870, technically a free woman after the war, but in name only. Her story, though, was never forgotten. It was whispered from one generation to the next, and there are fragmented records, little bits of census data, a letter from a daughter, that suggest her children may have, in the end, found the very freedom that she paid for with her own blood.
And this really brings us to the heart of it all. Sallie's story forces us to ask a really tough question. What does it actually mean to be free? Is it just not having chains on your ankles? Or is it something more? Is it the power to make choices that align with what you value most, even if those choices lead you right back into bondage? It's a question with no easy answer, and it's the profound, painful, and powerful legacy of Sallie Crane.